to do a very brief overview of the human rights situation before starting to focus on oil in particular, the role of oil investment in Colombia. Okay, Colombia's civil conflict, there's an armed conflict that's been waged in Colombia for more than 50 years now. So there's been an armed conflict being fought in Colombia for more than 50 years. And the violence has been fueled by the country's political, social, and economic inequalities. Today, approximately 85% of the rural population lives in poverty. More than 40,000 Colombians have been killed in the past decade. That's from political violence alone. Political violence alone. The overwhelming majority are civilians. It's about 600 people annually now kidnapped in Colombia, making it the kidnap capital of the world. More than 3 million Colombians have been forced from their homes by the conflict. In 2007, 35 Colombians were displaced by violence every hour. So in 2 hours we're going to be here tonight, there will be 70 Colombians forced from their homes and land. It was over 300,000 Colombians displaced by violence last year. It's the second largest internally displaced population in the world after the Sudan. In 2006, there were 144 union leaders killed worldwide. 78 of them were Colombians. By far the most dangerous country in the world in which to fight for workers' rights. And between 1994 and 2006, 1,165 unionists were killed, and there's only been convictions in 14 cases. That's more than 95% impunity rate. An impunity rate that has been steady throughout the Uribe administration as well. So that's just a very brief overview of the human rights situation in Colombia. Colombia ranks among the top countries in the world in most human rights categories. Now, the main actors in the conflict, you've got the Colombian army. This is, I'll show you a lot of photographs I've taken over the last 9 years in Colombia. This is in Putumayo. Colombian army is supplied by the US military. These are US supplied Huey helicopters. There's also right-wing paramilitary groups, the AUC. I'm not going to talk about the demobilization. If you have questions about that, I'm happy to address that later. But in theory, the AUC is demobilized. I call it a restructuring. And the AUC right-wing paramilitaries work often with the army to fight the guerrillas. This is a FARC guerrilla unit also in Putumayo. FARC are the largest of two guerrilla groups in Colombia, the ELN, the ELN is much smaller. The FARC is the principal enemy of the Colombian government right now, and by extension the US government. So those are the three combatants.